highlighted in many press stories and media stories over the last few days. So without further ado, let me first ask the Deputy Spokesman on Education, Dr. Ken Russell, to come forward to make his presentation, and he'll be followed by the Shadow Minister of Education and Social Development.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time, even though we sort of took advantage and started late. But again, our apologies. I know you understand the importance of the subject matter, but I want to emphasize that for us as a party, and certainly for us as a country, the issue of reading and literacy more broadly is critical. It's difficult for you to run a modern society with the rates of literacy that we're seeing. At the same time, we want to thank all the people working in the education system, especially those who have the courage to speak publicly about the challenges they're having. And the case in point, of course, being Pembroke Hall High School. We saw the numbers last week, and sadly, the case of Pembroke Hall, 70% of the grade 7 students. So let's get this straight. They've done PEP, they've matriculated to grade 7, and when tested, 70% are reading at grade 3 or below. 70%, 7 of every 10. And so it takes significant courage on the part of the school to make case. This is not an isolated case. We do know, and we've seen in the media previously, the case of Holy Trinity, for example, but there are others. And even if they don't have 70%, a significant percentage of their students are reading at very low levels. But this is not a specific school issue, as I said earlier. This is an issue of the system. This points to failure of policy, and the need for us to look at ourselves, to introspect as a country, and to really ask ourselves, what do we want of our children, and how are we supporting them to achieve that? Now, if you look at the grade 4 literacy, the trends, and Senator Crawford is going to go in more detail later on, but to underscore the point that this is not a specific case, it's not an isolated case, we do see that for the grade 4 literacy rates, the numbers have declined drastically from over 80% for much of the years leading up to 2020. We have not recovered. We are not even close to where we were pre-COVID. We are now at around 65%, coming down from over 83%, 85% in 2017, actually 86% in 2015. And take it in the context of what schools are reporting and in the context of Pembroke Hall, the case that we're discussing. Because if 70% are reading proficiently, then why are we seeing such a vast number of schools receiving entire cohorts that are functionally illiterate? The hard truth is that many of these students are promoted based on scores, not on skills. And that's something that is fundamentally different and something that we need to look at. Reading as compared or juxtaposed against literacy, which is where we want our children to be. So PEP may be showing gains numerically, but the skills that are required for children to function, especially post-PEP, are not being developed. So they're not reading with fluency, and they're not reading to comprehend. They're not comprehending what they read. So the crisis, however, is only foreshadowing the bigger problems that are happening in the education system. And we know the numbers for CSEC, less than 20%, actually, just about
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, people. This is not coming from my end. Apparently, they're having some internet issues from their end, not coming from my end at all. Let me figure out something here so I can refresh the system here and see if it will come up. Not coming from my end a bit, not at all.
Reading and literacy. And so some of the ideas which we've put on the table, we've said under PNP government, our focus will be on ensuring that children are reading by grade 3. Because we know from the global studies that the measure of learning poverty is focused on 10-year-olds. So we want children reading with comprehension by the time they reach 10-year-old, which is around the grade 3, grade 4 mark. And so it is important for global comparison that we have standards within our system which are ensuring that our children read by grade 3. We also will invest. We know that a number of our children, significant portion of them, need assessments to ensure that they're developing appropriately and can get the support they need. But these children have to wait in some cases over a year to access these services. This is unacceptable. And we intend in a timely manner. We also intend to mobilize our communities, because this is not only about the school, not only about the ministry, it's also about us as a people. And so through our work with the Social Development Commission, parents, and other civil society organizations, this is how we're going to break the back of this challenge. We must come together as we've done in the past. You may recall our experience with Jamal and the like. We can do it if we pull together, and that's going to be a significant role, a significant part of the reform under a PNP government. But we must be honest with ourselves. The current system is not working for students, not working for teachers, and certainly not working for Jamaica's future. And so our PNP government will act with urgency, with compassion, and clarity, all of which, I dare say, are absent at the moment from what we're seeing, and as you will hear more later on. We intend to rebuild the foundations of our education system and give every Jamaican child a real chance of succeeding, starting with the ability to read, because so much of what you are able to achieve in the system
Thank you, Dr. Russell. Good morning to all persons present. And I too join and indicate that I was the person who had caused for the delay due to traffic considerations coming out of Linstead. I, however, apologize and ask for your forgiveness. As was indicated by Dr. Russell, the most recent conversation has caused a knee-jerk reaction from the government to indicate that this is a new phenomenon. However, we draw the public's attention or remind the public of some other realities that we have had reports about in more recent times, not the least of which is Holy Trinity High School that indicated their grade level. That seemed to have been dwarfed by the new information of Pembroke, which indicates that 70% are reading below the grade level. Since then, because of public conversation, we have seen a mad scamper from the Ministry of Education to speak of multiple forms of intervention that they are planning on doing, the most recent of which is a reading workshop with teachers announced just this morning in the newspapers. This is for a problem that has been long existing. It is the intention, therefore, of my presentation to expose the reality behind our official education data and move it past just the recent concerns of Pembroke Hall only. There's been a pattern of underperformance in the last decade under the Jamaica Labour Party. Our 2024 paper results would have indicated that 13,416 students did not achieve proficiency in mathematics. That is 13,416. Additionally, in English language, 11,098 did not achieve basic proficiency in English language. The average cohort is between 33 and 30. Over 95,000. Our CSEC pass rates have also dropped. Indeed, in 2015, 5 subjects, including math and English, was 25.6%, 26% if we were to round up. For 2024, it was 18%. So therefore, at the end, the cumulative collective test of CXC at the end of your school experience in Jamaica, we have seen a 7 percentage points drop since 2015, from 25.5% in 2015 to current 18% in 2024. This might sound alarming to many, but if you should look at our literacy results, this has also fallen from 86% in 2015 to 67% in 2024. My colleagues spoke to the fact that we are seeing high numbers as 70%, which means 70% have not attained, and in the case of Holy Trinity, over 90%. And this may be because of the campaign. This, however, been met with general misunderstanding and misrepresentation and misinformation from the government. More recently, I saw an article in this is the radio, not the newspaper, on the radio, and I'll speak to it, Nationwide FM, that had a headline, majority of Pembroke Hall students reading at their grade level. When you looked into the body of the article, it said 70 out of 200 were reading from grade 6 to 9. These are 7th grade students. That's less than 35%. So therefore, that headline could not reflect what was reported. It also brought to my attention that why would you group 6 to 9 when there's no 7th grader at the 6th grade level? So 6th grade is also reading below the grade level. Why would you group that? And even in grouping that, it was choose to what we call bond school in Jamaica. So therefore, that unappreciation of deprivation does not recognize that the lack of lunch money, the lack of taxi fare, the inability to afford, child labor on a Friday, rain and its impact on attending are all reasonable realities to be considered as versus just the choice not to attend school. Including more recently, the minister in her knee-jerk reaction have announced some things that she suggests will change the realities that we face. One of which is a $1 billion breakfast plan. If we look into the numbers, we recognize that the proposal of $1 billion for 69,000 students over 190 days is only $76 per day. To do the research this morning, I tried to find something for $76. Can you indicate? Now, I have two things here, and both of them are not 76. Each of I asked the minister, what was the nutritional benefit that she expected from this allocation? Sounds not at $1 billion. She said 33% of their daily caloric requirement. There's no in Jamaica that $76 can carry the daily caloric, 33% of the caloric intake necessary for our students. Indeed, it proves, therefore, that this simply is a political announcement seeking to counter the proposals made by the People's National Party in our budget presentations, when we indicated that we would provide meals up to $400 for children and would move towards breakfast. Nowhere in the budget presentations, nowhere in the budget was there an indication of an increased allocation of this $1 billion. Additionally, this $1 billion proves to be immaterial, as there's over 130,000 students on path and almost 240,000 estimated to have would they select just from the path 130,000, which 69 receives breakfast? And additionally, on what basis do they perceive that $76 is sufficient? The minister then went on a media campaign to suggest that she's putting in reading as a mandated part for grade 1 and grade 3. This is a redundant mandate, as reading has already been a central part of the curriculum. It is already included in the National Standards curriculum, therefore showing a general unfamiliarity with the existing policies of the government. Additionally, the proposal put forward by the minister seem not to understand the results and data that currently exist. I claim to show that in the last multiple years, the problem isn't reserved to grades 1 and 3, which is what the minister indicated, that she would mandate reading from grades 1 to 3. I draw your attention to the PISA report in 2020. This is an international literacy report on Jamaica. It suggested that only 1% of our 9th grade students was at the top level of reading. And the 50% the grade 4 literacy results suggested in 2018 that it was 83% mastery. There is some disconnect that is happening if the same students that did the PISA in 2022 was at 50%, but our local examination in 2018 was 83%. It implies, therefore, that there either is learning loss or inflated local early results. A massive disconnect exists that has not been mentioned, not been researched, and not been identified by the current government and their implementation. It seems, therefore, that there are 3 levels of intervention that is necessary and immediate. The first is to review the plumbing with an overall systematic review of the failures within education. The second is to stop the leak, to fix primary school gaps. And the third is to mop up the flood, to provide remedial support for our high school students. As I said earlier, over 95,000 students have failed the basic to 67%. Therefore, the political posturing of breakfast announcements and redundant reading mandates cannot be accepted as normal and a method to go forward. What does review the plumbing means? The education system needs a structural overhaul. We must fix the block pipelines that prevent opportunity, focus on absenteeism, nutrition, technology, teachers, retention of our teachers, and remedial and extended learning. As far as absenteeism goes, our national absenteeism was celebrated recently at 22%. That's the average absenteeism in Jamaica. Chronic absenteeism is defined as 10%. So global definition of chronic absenteeism likely to have grave impact on education outcomes is at 10%. We recently celebrated a return levels at 22%. Rural areas are up to 40%. No matter how much reading you mandate in schools, an absent student cannot achieve the benefits. What are some of the causes? No transport, no meals, unsafe routes, distance from schools, home duties, etc. The JMP plan to put 50 buses, or I've heard more recently 100 buses, is an untargeted approach that is unlikely to solve the transportation problems. Indeed, if you look at a situation that exists currently with a bus from Linstead to Spanish Town, a 50-seater bus may do 2 trips, that's 100 students. There's no targeting of who's most in need, and there's no method of suggesting that it can be for the general persons coming from the interlands. And so from Linstead to Spanish Town speaks nothing of persons coming from Ty Dixon, which is the spokes of the communities, or coming from up in Wandi Bolas, etc. So this area that moves from central hub to central hub have no impact on the students coming from the interlands of our society, which are the most impacted by absenteeism. It also targets very few students as compared to the PMP's plan of 20,000 students being impacted by $2,500. This $2,500 per week will be used to subsidize motor vehicles to go into communities less traveled by public transportation, but also to be identified by the principal and the guidance counselors to be having absenteeism issues and need for government's intervention. The government also has a current nutrition program called Path Meals for $180 per day. This has led to many schools only offering 3 days per week, and others having segregated path lines with different lunch lines and different meals for students on the PATH program, meaning to segregation in our schools. The PMP, on the contrary, has indicated that we believe a reasonable amount is $400 per student, and it should go way past the PATH program to include the 56% that research have shown to have food insecurity in Jamaica. It covers lunch with dignity and proper nutrition, likely to cover the 33% of the caloric intake that international standards have implied. We also see that technology and AI is a force multiplier. An example of this is speaking to the police force. If they have motor vehicle, one police officer can cover much more area because it multiplies the force. We believe that AI tutors, homeschool apps, digital textbooks, where you can purchase or use 1 chapter per time, AI grading and feedback tools, curriculum tracking and adaptive testing are very important in moving forward. One of the greatest benefits of AI is that it allows for a test at each end of each part of the curriculum, causing for you to have evening intervention, weekend intervention, and summer remediation before the end of the year or the end of the term. One of the negatives that we have, and my able colleague here has indicated, that we are promoting students in spite of them not having achieved the necessary levels of performance. And this is so because at the end of the year, when you do the test, you recognize their incompetence at the end of the year, and they therefore need remediation for a year. if you do it at the end of the curriculum activities, let's say additional fractions, you don't understand that, then we're going to do evening, then we're going to do this weekend, then that remediation will cause for earlier intervention and the less competition for spaces as they move forward. And AI will allow for that constant and consistent testing that we see. And I must indicate that we have heard the current minister speak to AI, so that is one aspect I think that she might be onto something and getting right. The teacher retention is of great. We estimate that over 1,000 more teachers will leave this year, and teacher migration is only rising. No other policy of a need for a teacher retention plan. We are losing some of our more experienced teachers, and we're also losing facilitators of learning, with many schools starting and continuing for periods of months at a time without teachers to facilitate. There is also a challenge and a concern that the nation must accept that the new method the JLP has proposed to have specialist teachers of math and science and language in the primary schools may create additional shortages in areas such as mathematics, because with over 870 schools, you may not be able to find specialist mathematics teachers for all these schools. The teacher retention plan we have proposed include easier access to housing, concessions for motor vehicles for staying in the classroom, student loan forgiveness for each year that a teacher stays in the classroom, subsidized internet as a tool of trade, and improved staff rooms and classroom for improved environment and teaching experience. The extended learning structure for recovery, we're looking at evening and morning sessions, weekend reinforcement, pull-out classes, summer school and summer camps, and tech-supported extended days to ensure that the children are reading or performing. Organized and structural intervention in education starts at 3, after the majority of brain functioning has been developed. The government generally starts at primary level, age 6, when 90% of brain function is developed by age 5. Government intervention, therefore, may be late at this particular point in time. The former Minister of Education, Will Reid, once mentioned something called brain builders centers. And because of the constraints of the budget and eventually because of his removal, we have heard nothing further from a brain builder center. The brain builder center was supposed to target the first 3 years of the child's development, an infant brain builder center. To my information, he only built 3. We believe that it is possible for us to build 1,000 centers for brain builders, the age 1.5 to 3. Now, many will ask, how would we afford it? But we have already contacted many of the churches who are not engaged in activities in the midweek. And they have indicated, some of these churches, that they'll be very willing to participate by allowing their church halls to be donated as brain builder centers. That can immediately cause for that interaction and interface. We want a support system where HeartTrust will start to train brain builder facilitators or infant facilitators with daily digital curriculum guide and videos showcasing best practices and also ensuring that there is a general experience across the island. The PMP will also implement a free app that indicates to parents a homeschool curriculum from birth until age 3, indicating and simulating simulation, bonding, and learning prompts, supporting families, especially in the underserved communities. We also see that there's a problem of weak literacy foundation in our primary schools. We believe that one of the interventions necessary is a review of our education structure. Our current education structure is a 3-6-3-2 structure: 3 basic school, 6 primary school, 3 lower secondary school, and 2 upper secondary school. We believe that we need a 3-4-2-3. This would mean that the 6 at the primary level will be divided into 4 and 2, lower primary and upper primary, with the 4 focusing and concentrating on literacy, numeracy, spoken English, and creativity. The leader of the PMP have consistently stated that English is not the first language of many Jamaicans, and therefore they must be exposed to English as a new language because many are patois speakers, patois exposed in their original circumstances. Grades 5 upper primary will be for general knowledge and rounded exposure. The entire 6 years currently is more focused, it seems, on rounded exposure. It would mean that teachers at lower primary would have specialized in lower primary education, and teachers at the upper primary would have specialized in upper primary education. The current teachers, of course, would be grandfathered in with the necessary trainings put in place, free of cost to these teachers, for them to be lower primary specialists or upper primary specialists. We also suggest that in conversations with the JTA and the teachers, that we review how teachers move with their students, and suggest that teachers should move throughout the cohort, with the cohort throughout the phase. And so therefore, if you are a lower primary teacher, you will move from grade 1 to grade 4. So you go grade 2 with your students, grade 3 with grade 4 with your students, and start again the next year with a new grade 1 and move through the cohort. Removing the ability to say, oh, grade 1 never teach them good, or grade 3 and I don't know how them reach a grade 4. And you also learn the student better, you understand their idiosyncrasies, and you are better able to carry them through the phase. A new teacher will then take them to grade 5 and carry them through the PEP phase of grade 5 and 6. We feel that that would create systematically the outcomes of literacy in our Jamaican system. It leads to greater accountability, and it allows for our teachers to create greater bonds and relationships with not just the children, but the families that they are interfacing with. We then look at the flood that we have at the secondary school. Thousands of secondary students are functionally illiterate. The strategy must therefore reflect what I have identified in my history lessons of how the US tried to achieve the manifest destiny. They had an approach of a fort and the soldiers and the fort. We believe that the Jamaica Foundation for Lifelong Learning should be reimagined to be a general literacy agency and not just an adult literacy agency. We believe that we can have an army of literacy teachers, approximately 2,000 literacy teachers seconded to the Jamaica Foundation for Lifelong Learning, with their main duty to be intervention schools such as Holy Trinity and schools such as Pembroke Hall. Again, I want to highlight one of the concerns I have, for example, and I applaud the church for their intervention, Grace Bastian and others such as those, intervention in Holy Trinity 7th grade. But that ignores that there's a problem that has existed before and now in the 8th grade, the 9th grade, and the 10th grade, also the 11th grade. And I don't believe that a society can basically give up on those by only having 7th grade intervention. So therefore, they will be seconded for 2 terms of 3 years. They can review if they want to continue their secondment after the first term. Those schools will have longer work days, shorter holidays, and intensive teaching methods. What we have recognized as well is that the targeted interventions in schools such as Holy Trinity seem to have ignored that the feeder schools into Holy Trinity need also to have intervention. And so therefore, when we're targeting Holy Trinity, there will be simultaneous intervention into the feeder schools of Holy Trinity, the primary schools in close proximity that have the majority of students coming into Holy Trinity, Pembroke Hall, and schools such as those. In fact, the problem is so grave that former Minister Ronnie Thwaites in an article on Sunday indicates that there's approximately 50 such secondary schools that are having the issues that we are decrying for Holy Trinity. 50 of the total primary schools will be approximately 40%, almost reflecting what the results are of 67%, therefore 33% having not achieved mastery. We look at having student consolidated hubs, and the goal of moving 8 to 12 literacy stages over the 4 terms. Now, many would ask, what is 4 terms? The current school system is 3 terms, and the summer, which is the 4th term. And we believe that if we're going to immediately reverse some of the issues, those schools with great intervention would have to have the summer term as a necessary part. We have seen the research coming out of downtown, Denham Town, with the intervention from Portmore. But I'll remember the name soon. But there's been an intervention in Denham Town, and there's been an intervention in Holy Trinity. In Denham Town, they are seeing in 1 term 3 to 5 movement in literacy, 3 to 5 years of movement, and in Holy Trinity, they are seeing up to 3 years so far of movement. Therefore, the research is showing that within 4 terms, we can have up to 12 years of movement. So we want to have a remedial 7 eventually, but a general interface with those schools that are
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, people. What's going on right now has nothing to do with the MequiTalk program. It is the feed coming into us. I don't know if they're having internet issues in Jamaica, but it's a feed coming into us. It has nothing to do with me. One moment, please. The feed coming into us is they're having some internet issues down there. Has nothing to do with me.
Indicate that it's time your house and the question. Yes, Kim.
Morning, Kimon Francis from the Gleaner. What is the opposition's plan to address the assessment issue at the early childhood level, where the government's primary assessment center, Michael Care, receives over 1,000
There you go. It has nothing to do with the MequiTalk program. We do apologize to everyone. The feed coming into us, they're having internet issues, obviously. And I think they're only streaming on their Facebook page. And it's the same things happening on their Facebook page. So we do apologize. Let me see if I can refresh the system here and see if that will make any sense. There it is. So let's hope this will work.
And the question. Yes, Kim.
Has nothing to do with me. There you go. They're having internet
diagnoses that will need to offer scholarships to individuals so as to increase the pool of persons available for that particular diagnosis. There's also a basis for working with the private sector for that public-private partnership for an agreed cost. Many have had highfalutin cost up to $200,000. So subsidized costs, agreed costs, and subsidized methods of payments that may be able to be extended over time for persons who want to go the private route. So those are the 3 strategies we believe that can immediately mitigate against some of that.
And just to add that there is obviously a policy dimension here, because the point around the professionals that are required, the expertise that are required, because you can't, it's not just to build the physical spaces, you need the expertise. And so the government has to take responsibility, because they would have a role in ensuring that we can access the personnel, whether it is to train them or to form partnerships with friendly governments, Cuba, etc., in order to get that the kind of professionals we need to support this service. So it's really important that it be looked at holistically, but also that we look at the preparation of the personnel, but the policy implementation, the policy decisions which need to be made to bring these personnel in a relatively short period of time, right?
Yes. And I want to add as well, an addition to your question, that there are also children that are not disabled, but dysfunctional because of adverse child experiences. And so therefore, there is a need also for schools for special attention to those children that have had adverse child experiences. The murder rates, for example, have caused for many of our children to have adverse child experiences, both family, friends, communities. The domestic abuse have caused for many to have adverse child experiences. Hunger and the inability to satisfy that, the broken homes. So there's a lot of children that are not going to be diagnosed as disabled, but their dysfunction is based on the adverse child experiences. And they are within our concepts, schools that we can have persons taken out for 3 months, 6 months, whatever is needed for the necessary specialists to carry them past that dysfunction.
Any more questions?
Vivian Robinson said that in the next PMP term, Jamaica will see full literacy. How realistic is that?
Well, if what we have indicated at this particular point in time is implemented, I believe it's extremely realistic. We have indicated, first of all, that we will ensure that a child born capable remains capable by developing the necessary brain functions in the initial phases. So that is one step that I think that is not being identified at this particular point in time. We have identified, secondly, that we would review the structure of education to cause for a lower primary structure focused on literacy, removing. So one of the things that people don't understand is that you can focus on literacy and introduce science. So science in the reading, this is a type of reading, but your focus is on the reading, the word identification, the comprehension. And many of our students, for example, may be at a higher level of word recognition and a lower level of comprehension. And so therefore their literacy rate is lower than just their word identification. They can read a mat on the cat, but not recognize immediately that a mat should not be on the cat, and it should be reversed, that it should be the cat on the mat. So therefore, we have identified that focus as a structural change in our education structure. If that is implemented, we think that also would assist. We have indicated a willingness to speak to our teachers to move with their cohort, causing for greater familiarity, causing for intervention so that I don't have to relearn the student over that 4-year period, causing for a greater relationship with the parents and connection with the community, the child's direct community. We feel that that would cause for also a greater ability to assess the teacher's performance within that, with that cohort and what they do. We think that that will also improve and change. We have indicated that we'll try and change some of the structural problems with the nation as it relates to availability of nutrition by increasing it almost 2-fold. In fact, more than 2-fold, from 180 to 400, and increasing the number of beneficiaries, because poverty isn't binary. It's not that if you're on part, you're poor, but you're on the fringe of part, you're not poor. So there are many persons that have 2-day difficulty, 3-day difficulty, and not all-day difficulty. And because they're not on par, they don't benefit. We decided we move it to 56%, which is the people that are found to have food insecurity. That's what the research has indicated. We have indicated that we're going to ensure that they're at school by talking to the principal, talking to the guidance counselors, having that information coming to the ministry, sending out those specialists to go and analyze what are the transportation difficulties, and have a targeted transportation subsidy of up to 20,000 students to make sure that they are present for the consumption of education. We have indicated we want to retain our best teachers. If all of those things happen, we believe what Julian has said is 100% possible. And again, you have asked a wonderful question about the persons who are disabled, which are not the highest percentage of persons. So therefore, disability cannot explain 33% not achieving literacy, because our disability rates are not to that level, if we should use the level. But those who are disabled, we want to identify. Those who are having adverse child experiences, we want to identify. If these things are implemented, I believe that it is very probable that we will move from 18% to 80% in our CXC outcomes. And I believe that near 100% literacy is possible.
Good morning, Sandy Williams,
Hi, Sandy.
PBJ. Just want you to clarify the difference between the PMP's proposed EASE program and what we currently have, which is the National School Feeding Program and PATH.
Okay. So the current program only targets the children on path, which is about 130,000. With 440,000 children in school, 56% is almost 230,000. So one of the differences is that there's over 100,000 more children that will benefit from the EASE program as versus the current program. The second reality is that the current PATH program of $180 per child, our program suggests $400 per child on the simple basis that for the caloric intake of school feeding, which is an international standard of 33% of the caloric daily requirement, $180 is incapable of doing that. And so therefore we're saying $400 for each student. That also removes the necessity of separation, because all you do is to pay for the lunch that the person is consuming, as versus giving him the PATH lunch, which is rice and chicken food, and then somebody has another lunch, leading to many on PATH to be embarrassed to participate in the PATH lunch. And that has created also a further problem. What we have indicated as the People's National Party is that generally, and there's a nutritional policy put forward by the government, because you don't have to do nothing to fail. The government have done some things, but they're still failing dramatically. I've had students with 15%, I've done 15% right, but they have failed. You'll know at the university, 40%, but you still fail. So they have a nutrition policy, but there needs to be a mandate of what is to be consumed in the schools, the nutritional value, because there are people with funds are able to purchase that are still malnourished because they're buying tickets for more than $76. So to that extent, we believe that the major difference is the number of persons to benefit, over 100,000 more, the cost that is assigned, 200%, 100% more, $400 to $180. The caloric intake that it will cover a higher caloric intake, and the type of meal that we'll be able to offer, which would be a more nutritious meal. Those are the major differences between what currently exists and what we propose.
Thank you. Any questions online? No questions online. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Senator Crawford and Dr. Russell. And I'd just like to tell everybody good afternoon, all the best for the rest of the day.
That just end a press conference given by the People's National Party, where Senator Damien Crawford, opposition spokesperson on education, along with his junior opposition spokesperson on education, speaking about school curriculum and also passes in schools and nutritious foods in school. I just want to tell you all thanks for coming on. Thank you all for being a part of this program. You join me this evening with Head Boy and others. Will be speaking some more about what is going on in Jamaica. We're going to speak to you about, we have information about this Israeli company. This Israeli company that's in Jamaica. We have gathered some more information about it, and believe you me, what we have gathered, it doesn't look good. And people are asking, why now are we talking about this Israeli company? Well, we have done some in-depth investigation, some in-depth research, and I don't want to come on here and don't talk talk out of the corner of my mouth without having evidence. So hopefully this evening we can give you the evidence of why we do not think that this company that's in Jamaica should be a part of anything to do with our electoral system. All right? So join us this evening. Hopefully we can come back on to speak some more about this. And, you know, you see, before we come on platforms and talk things, or call in and talk things, I think we need to investigate and find out. So we have some stories to give about this company. And I think the question that we asked yesterday is this Israeli company going to take part or oversee the 2025 Jamaica's election? And that's a question we're asking. We're not saying that they're doing it. We're asking questions. And I don't want them to go away and say, boy, Jeffrey said this and Jeffrey said that. We're asking questions about this company, and that is why we're saying is this Israeli company, are they going to take part in the 2025 election in Jamaica? Are they going to oversee the 2025 election? We don't know. That's the questions we're asking. And I pray and hope that Mr. Glasswell Brown will come out and address this situation here. All right. Thank you all very much for coming on. Thank you all for being a part of this program. To all those in the chat room, good morning or good afternoon. It's afternoon now, morning in Jamaica. It is now 12:28, 11:28 in Jamaica. Have a great afternoon, everyone. See you all back here later on this evening. God bless you all. Remember that Saturday coming, the One Legal Defense Foundation will be having their rally in Jamaica at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center. They're having their rally at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center in Jamaica. Bonks about, children can come out and so forth, and they'll be giving away prizes and surprises, and also they're going to talk about the issues facing our country. They're going to speak about issues facing Jamaica politically and economically in all aspects. I was going to say something, but I prefer hold it back. Let me not say it. So join us then, all right? God bless you all.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ronnie Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural Reconnection Rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica. See for yourself.
Yes, someone is asking what time I'm coming back on tomorrow, this evening. I think what you need to do is to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to know when I go live. Whenever I go live, it will notify you. So what you need to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel here, hit the bell icon to know when I go live. It will notify you that I'm live. All right? God bless you. Maybe I come back on about 6 o'clock US time, 5 o'clock Jamaica time. But subscribe to the channel, please. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
We are good and fire come rain. you are going to come under some pressure. You're going to hear all kinds of propaganda. You're going to hear all kinds of lies and deception. There will be tactics used to try and buy you out. There will be tactics used to try and frighten you away. And I only have to say one thing to you tonight, comrades. We are blood and fire comrades. And we're marching on to progress. And we will stand firm. We will not be bought because we are not for sale. The Prime Minister just needs to fly the gate. Call it Andrew, call it, and Iman will sound the trumpet.
Whether you're Labour, right, PNP, regular Jamaican who just want to vote for a change, you see the next election here will come up under no circumstances whatsoever can you vote in back the Jamaica Labour Party into government.
I do not believe that the Jamaica Labour Party is a party that is humanitarian. I don't think they think about the human factor.
Do you think that the opposition has a chance in the next general election?
The best chance the opposition ever now. I think that charisma
is exactly.
Andrew beat, but if you have a look at intelligence, Mark Golden is no disrespect to Burger, and I hope nobody will take this as no. But if you look at basic understanding and basic conversation, like Andrew Holness, we say this something nicer. Mark Golden is more of the people than Andrew Holness. I think that Andrew Holness is very pretentious. You understand me? I think that he plays the part of the man of the people better. Underemployment is worse than unemployment, because if you're working less than what it costs you to live and go to work, that is underemployment.
Remember, Randy used to tell say every meal make a muckle.
No, and I say go. But if you have to use 5 meal to get 1 muckle, it don't make no sense. You understand me? I say them conversation are not a political conversation. Them conversation are a life conversation.
Gold's money was not lost. It was stolen. Plain as daylight.
Ball out! Whoa! Yo. We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament. Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out from Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? Take out somebody, man or woman.
come under some pressure. You're going to hear all kinds of propaganda. You're going to hear all kinds of lies and deception. There will be tactics used to try and buy you out. There will be tactics used to try and frighten you away. And I only have to say one thing to you tonight, comrades. We are blood and fire comrades. And we're marching on to progress. And we will stand firm. We will not be bought because we are not for sale.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural Reconnection Rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
Our first 100 days of government, we will start the legislative process to fix the date for general elections in Jamaica. So no government will be able to come and make false promises and hide the truth and tell you half-truths and trick you into voting for them, and then when them win, them throw on poison for you.
100 days. The fixed election date, still I wait for the promise to fulfill. One broken promise after another. Laughable, as we say. None of your promise not fulfill yet, boss. So there you wait.
Within the first 100 days of our government, we will start the legislative process to institute impeachment proceedings in Parliament. This will add another layer of protection of the Parliament to ensure that only members of unquestioned integrity sit in the Parliament.
All ministers under the new Jamaica Labour Party government will be given a job letter. That job letter has a timeline of 2 years and 6 months with key performance targets which are agreed upon by the cabinet, focused on two things: economic growth and job creation.
Andrew, you need to do what you said from 2016. You say you're going to put it on paper. Say anything you put on paper, the MP have to work with it. So you need to do it now. I feel like say when you do that, the MP will do them work and we will see work done in the community.
Within the first 100 days of government, we will start the legislative process to introduce term limits on the office of Prime Minister.
Andrew Holness, John, him break him promise and nothing him say I'm going to do for the next 100 days and now him not do nothing. Him not keep no promise and him say I'm the promise keeper. What a promise, John Star.
At a convenient time within our new government, we will hold a grand referendum on the CCJ, the Caribbean Court of Justice, as the final appellate court.
You make so much promise for us. Look how long you're in there. Nothing done. All for the COVID, they promised the people them $25,000. Nothing done. Huh? So what you expect me to do? Tell me if you sleep with the door and window open and nothing done.
Please, Mr. Knight, please.
I'm suggesting that you are pathologically mendacious.
Mr. Knight, that is an improper suggestion.
Why?
And an improper.
After
yes.
he just said what he just said?
Yes.
It's pathological.
Mr. Knight, please continue your cross-examination if you so intend to.
He was referring to what you said, a ruling you made.
And he laughed at you.
And laughed. You have a pathological condition when it comes to telling the truth. And I'm suggesting to you that you have misled, you have conspired, and you have deceived the parliament, the people of this country, and the inquiry, this commission, the diaspora and every Jamaican, and that you, Prime Minister, should pack your bags and go.
The Prime Minister just needs to fly the gate. Call it, Andrew. Call it. And Iman will sound the trumpet.
Whether you're Labour right, PNP, regular Jamaican who just want to vote for a change, you see the next election here will come up under no circumstances whatsoever can you vote in back the Jamaica Labour Party into government.
going to hear all kinds of propaganda. You're going to hear all kinds of lies and deception. There will be tactics used to try and buy you out. There will be tactics used to try and frighten you away. And I only have to say one thing to you tonight, comrades. We are blood and fire comrades, and we're marching on to progress. And we will stand firm. We will not be bought because we are not for sale.
Daryl Vaz, Jamaica will not sit with you and Christopherson and Floyd Green and Colonel Charles Jr. and Fayeval and Dana Morris and Matthew Samuda. Who going to stick with the evil? Who going to stick with them thief ya? Who going to stick with the thief them Jamaica? Who going to stick with them scammer ya? And as a matter of fact, Daryl, what do you mean by people bad mind? Daryl, what do you mean by people bad mind? Bad mind you for what? You have no good antecedents for people to bad mind you on. Your history is not one where anyone would have wanted to bad mind you, Daryl. I'm asking you again, what is there to bad mind when our hospitals are like chicken coops? What is there to bad mind when our water is filled with E. coli and shit and dirty water? People can't drink healthy water again. What is there to bad mind when the road them full of pothole? What can go so? What is there to bad mind? We can't bad mind, you know. Jamaica needs to be rescued. Jamaica needs to be rescued, Daryl. From you, Wellness Clan, Vaz Clan, Charles Clan, all of them sort of clan there. I want not done. You think Jamaica want to stick with a politician? One ex-politician, what's money? $20 million, and I'll come from media can say, all the people then.
Help, help. We out of the
We need a divine intervention. We're tired of the labor rights. So when I see you come, Daryl, we're tired of the murderer over the Labour Party. We're tired of the rapists them and the pedophiles and the sex offenders in the Labour Party. We're tired of the scammers them. We're tired of the chopper them. We're tired of the you know what? Jamaica, we're not tired of them. I want to ask you. We're tired of the woman beater them. So when you go talk about stick to the evil where you know, I want to tell you, I can't stick with a government that has not built one school in 9 years. I can't stick with a government that hides the water sampling from its people because they know that the E. coli is in the water. Why do you think say Harmony Beach in Montego Bay can't be open? Because it is filled with E. coli. But we understand so your vocabulary is limited to bad mind. Because you and your wife, when it comes down to the vocabulary and the lexicon, you don't really understand.
Ball out! Whoa! Yo, yo, yo. We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament. Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out from Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? Take out somebody, man or woman.
Whether you're Labour right, PNP, regular Jamaican who just want to vote for a change, you see the next election here will come up under no circumstances whatsoever can you vote in back the Jamaica Labour Party into government.
come under some pressure. You're going to hear all kinds of propaganda. You're going to hear all kinds of lies and deception. There will be tactics used to try and buy you out. There will be tactics used to try and frighten you away. And I only have to say one thing to you tonight, comrades. We are blood and fire comrades. And we're marching on to progress. And we will stand firm. We will not be bought because we are not for sale.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural reconnection rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
Daryl Vaz, Jamaica will not sit with you and Christopherton and Floyd Green and Colonel Charles Jr. and Fairval and Dana Morris and Matthew Samuda. Who going to stick with the evil? Who going to stick with them thief ya? Who going to stick with the thief them Jamaica? Who going to stick with them scammer ya? And as a matter of fact, Daryl, what do you mean by people bad mind? Daryl, what do you mean by people bad mind? Bad mind you for what? You have no good antecedents for people to bad mind you on. Your history is not one where anyone would have wanted to bad mind you, Daryl. I'm asking you again, what is there to bad mind when our hospitals are like chicken coops? What is there to bad mind when our water is filled with E. coli and shit and dirty water? People can't drink healthy water again. What is there to bad mind when the road them full of pothole? What can go so? What is there to bad mind? We can't bad mind on you know. Jamaica needs to be rescued. Jamaica needs to be rescued, Daryl. From you, Wellness Clan, Vaz Clan, Charles Clan, all of them sort of clan there. And when you're done, you think Jamaica want to stick with a politician, where one ex-politician, what's money? $20 million, another company, media can say, all the people then.
Help. We need your divine
intervention. We're tired of the labor rights. So when I see you come, Daryl, we're tired of the murderer over the Labour Party. We're tired of the rapists them and the pedophiles and the sex offenders in the Labour Party. We're tired of the scammers them. We're tired of the chopper them. We're tired of the you know what? Jamaica, we're not tired of them. I want to ask you. We're tired of the woman beater them. So when you're going to talk about stick to the evil way you know, I want to tell you, I can't stick with a government that has not built one school in 9 years. I can't stick with a government that hides the water sampling from its people because they know that the E. coli is in the water. Why do you think Harmony Beach in Montego Bay can't be open? Because it is filled with E. coli. But we understand that your vocabulary is limited to bad mind. Because you and your wife, when it comes down to the vocabulary and the lexicon, you don't really understand that, you know.
The Prime Minister just needs to fly the gate. Call it Andrew, call it, and Iman will sound the trumpet.
Ball out! Whoa, yo. We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament, shift the election, shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out. From Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? take out somebody, man or woman.
Whether you're Labour right, PNP, regular Jamaican who just want to vote for a change, you see the next election here will come up under no circumstances whatsoever can you vote in back the Jamaica Labour Party into government.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural reconnection rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
are going to come under some pressure. You're going to hear all kinds of propaganda. You're going to hear all kinds of lies and deception. There will be tactics used to try and buy you out. There will be tactics used to try and frighten you away. And I only have to say one thing to you tonight, comrades. We are blood and fire comrades. And we're marching on to progress. And we will stand firm. We will not be bought because we are not for sale.
The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation and its global supporters cordially invite Jamaicans abroad and abroad to its inaugural reconnection on June 21st, 2025 at the Ranny Williams Entertainment Center in Kingston, Jamaica. Bring your entire family for a day of food, fun, entertainment, and information. Get an understanding of the Constitution and the skills necessary to exercise your rights and your civic responsibilities as Jamaican citizens. You can't afford to miss this inaugural Reconnection Rally, June 21st in Kingston. Tune in for further information and updates to Reason with Radigan on YouTube and reggaeglobalradio.com, Saturdays at 3 p.m. New York time and at 2 p.m. in Jamaica.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk.